There is a strange quietness that descends when you have felt too much for too long. Not sadness, not depression, just emptiness. A flatness where emotion used to live. You look at things that once moved you and feel nothing. You hear words that once pierced you and feel distant. Carl Jung discovered that this numbness is not the death of your spirit. It is your soul entering a sacred threshold, and what waits on the other side will return you to yourself. If you woke up this morning and felt a peculiar absence, where your feelings used to be. If you moved through your day like a ghost in your own life. If you looked at people you love and felt only a hollow echo, where connection once lived, then listen closely. Because what you are experiencing is not the end of your emotional life. It is the beginning of a profound inner reorganization. Jung called this the descent into the underworld, a psychological death that precedes rebirth. And it is one of the most misunderstood experiences a sensitive soul can have. The world will tell you that you are broken, that you need to fix yourself immediately. That numbness is a malfunction requiring urgent repair. But Jung saw something different. He saw numbness as the soul's last line of defense, a sacred boundary erected when you have absorbed too much, carried too much, felt too much without rest. Your psyche did not abandon you. It protected you. It pulled you inward so you would stop hemorrhaging energy into a world that takes without replenishing. In the next moments, we will walk through the hidden language of emotional numbness. You will learn why your soul withdraws feeling, what it is protecting, what it is preparing, and how to meet this emptiness not as an enemy, but as a teacher guiding you back to your deepest truth. Because the soul that feels nothing is not dead. It is waiting, and what it waits for is your permission to feel safely. Again, there is a moment that arrives without warning. You are moving through your ordinary life. Then suddenly you notice that the colors look duller. The music sounds muted. The conversations feel scripted and distant. You try to feel joy but reach only blankness. You try to feel sadness but find only a gray void. You try to feel anything at all, and your heart offers nothing but a quiet, terrifying stillness. This is not apathy. This is not indifference. Jung understood that when a highly sensitive soul is pushed beyond its capacity, it does not shatter. It freezes. It retreats into a protective numbness, like a creature curling inward during winter. He called this the defensive function of the psyche. When the emotional body has been wounded too many times, when it has given too much without receiving, when it has absorbed the pain of others without boundary, it shuts down temporarily to prevent total collapse. Your soul is not punishing you. It is saving you. Think of numbness as emotional anesthesia. When a surgeon operates, they numb the body so it does not feel the knife. Your psyche does the same. When life cuts too deep, when relationships drain too much, when expectations press too hard, your soul numbs you so you can continue functioning without bleeding out. But here is what most people miss. Numbness is not meant to be permanent. It is meant to be a pause, a sacred interval where the soul can assess the damage, reorganize its defenses, and prepare for a different way of living. The problem is that most women who experience this numbness do not understand what is happening. They panic. They force themselves to feel. They shame themselves for the emptiness. And in doing so, they interrupt the very process that is trying to heal them. Jung believed that numbness must be honored before it can be released. You cannot force feeling to return. You can only create the conditions where it feels safe to emerge again. So if you feel nothing right now, the first step is not to fix it. The first step is to stop and ask, what was I feeling before I stopped feeling? Because numbness always has a history. It always points backward to a moment when feeling became too dangerous, too overwhelming, too costly. Jung observed that emotional numbness does not appear randomly. It arrives at specific thresholds, moments when the soul can no longer sustain the weight it has been carrying. The first threshold is betrayal without closure. When someone you trusted deeply wounds you and offers no acknowledgement, no apology, no repair, your psyche enters a state of suspended grief. You cannot fully process the loss because the story has no ending. The betrayal hangs in the air unresolved, so your soul numbs the pain to prevent it from consuming you. But in numbing the pain, it also numbs joy, hope, trust. Everything flattens because the heart cannot selectively shut down. It can only close all the way or remain open all the way. Women who have been betrayed without closure often describe feeling like they are watching their lives from behind glass, present but not participating, alive but not living. The second threshold is emotional labor without reciprocity. You have given and given and given. You have held space for others' pain. You have carried their emotions. You have soothed their fears. You have listened without being heard. You have loved without being seen. And one day, your soul looks at the emptiness inside you and says, enough. It stops feeling because feeling has become synonymous with depletion. Every emotion becomes a demand. Every connection becomes a drain. Every interaction becomes labor. Jung saw this often in women who were raised to be caregivers, healers, fixers. Their emotional capacity becomes a resource others extract, until there is nothing left. Numbness in this case is not weakness. It is a boundary your conscious mind could not set. It is your soul saying, I will not feel until you learn to protect what you feel. The third threshold is identity dissolution. There are moments in a woman's life when the person she thought she was begins to crumble. The roles she played no longer fit. The dreams she chased no longer call her. The life she built no longer feels like hers. This is the death of an old self. And during this death, the psyche often goes numb because it is in between identities. The old you is dissolving, but the new you has not yet formed. Jung called this the liminal state, a psychological threshold where you are neither who you were nor who you will become. You exist in the void, and in that void, feeling becomes irrelevant, because feeling belongs to a self, and you temporarily have no clear self to anchor it. This numbness is not permanent. It is the cocoon, the dark space where metamorphosis happens. But while you are inside it, you feel only absence. The fourth threshold is spiritual awakening without support. Some women go numb, not because they have felt too little, but because they have felt too much. They have touched depths most people never reach. They have seen truths most people deny. They have felt the collective pain, the ancestral grief, the soul-level loneliness of being awake in a sleeping world. And their psyche cannot hold all of that intensity while also functioning in ordinary reality. So it numbs the edges. It dulls the sharpness. It creates distance so they can move through their days without being shattered by the weight of what they know. Jung understood that highly intuitive, deeply feeling women often experience this. They are spiritual barometers. They sense shifts in the collective unconscious. And when those shifts are intense, their soul protects them through temporary emotional shutdown. All four thresholds share one truth. Numbness is not the problem. It is the symptom. It is the soul's way of saying, something in your life exceeded my capacity, and I had to shut down to survive. The question now is not how to force feeling back. The question is, what did my soul need to protect me from? And how do I create safety so feeling can return? If this is resonating, let me know in the comments. Your story might be the mirror someone else needs. And subscribe if you want to keep walking this path with me. Here's the paradox Jung discovered. The numbness that feels like death is often the doorway to a more authentic life. Because when you feel nothing, you stop pretending. When emotions go quiet, performance becomes impossible. When your heart shuts down, you can no longer fake connection, force enthusiasm, or smile through pain. Numbness strips you bare. It removes the mask. It reveals how much of your life was built on obligation, instead of desire, on expectation instead of truth, on fear instead of love. And in that stark revelation, something becomes possible. You can finally ask, who would I be if I only did what felt true? Most women never ask this question because they are too busy managing everyone else's emotions. They are too busy performing wellness, performing happiness, performing strength. But when numbness descends, performance ends. And in the absence of performance, you meet the raw, unedited version of yourself. This version may feel unfamiliar. She may feel cold, distant, selfish even, but she is not cruel. She is honest. She is the part of you that knows what you have been tolerating. She is the part that sees which relationships drain you. She is the part that feels the misalignment between your outer life and your inner truth. Jung believed that this encounter with your unfiltered self is the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming whole. You cannot become whole while pretending. You cannot integrate your shadow while performing light. You cannot know your true desires while numbing your true feelings. So numbness, as painful as it is, creates a clearing, a space where pretense cannot survive, a silence where your soul can finally speak without competition. In this clearing, you begin to notice things you ignored before. You notice how exhausting it is to carry other people's emotions. You notice how many conversations feel transactional. You notice how little space you have been given to simply be, without function, without purpose, without output. You notice that you have been living as a resource instead of a person. And in noticing, something shifts. You start to feel anger. Not loud, explosive anger, but a quiet, dignified rage that says, I deserve more than this. This anger is not a step backward. It is a step forward. It means feeling is beginning to return. And it is returning through the emotion you were most afraid to own. Jung said that anger is often the first feeling to break through numbness, because anger is the guardian of boundaries. It is the psyche's way of saying, this is where I end and the world begins. When you have been boundaryless for too long, anger is the medicine that reminds you that you are separate, sovereign, entitled to your own emotional space. So if numbness begins to crack and anger seeps through, do not fear it. Do not suppress it. Let it speak. Let it show you where your boundaries were violated. Let it teach you what you will no longer tolerate. Anger is not the enemy of healing. Anger is the bodyguard of your becoming. Feeling does not return all at once. It does not flood back in a single moment of revelation. It returns slowly, like color bleeding back into a photograph. First faint, then gradually more vivid, until one day you realize that you are feeling again without trying. Jung taught that the return of feeling requires 3 conditions. The first is safety. Your soul will not open if it senses that the same conditions that caused the shutdown are still present. If you are still in the relationship that drained you, if you are still in the environment that demanded too much, if you are still living the life that required constant performance, feeling will not return. You must create space first. Physical space, emotional space, energetic space. Space where your soul can unfold without immediately being asked to give, fix, or perform. This might mean distance from certain people. This might mean saying no more often. This might mean choosing solitude over socializing, stillness over productivity, silence over noise. Safety does not mean comfort. It means honesty. It means a life where you are allowed to be human, messy, uncertain, real. The second condition is witnessing. Numbness often happens because your pain was never acknowledged. You carried losses no one saw. You held grief no one validated. You suffered invisibly while the world expected you to keep functioning. To heal, you must witness yourself. You must sit with the part of you that went numb and say, I see you. I see what you carried. I see why you had to shut down. This witnessing can happen alone in a journal in silence. Or it can happen with someone you trust. Someone who does not try to fix you but simply holds space for your truth. Jung called this the healing power of being seen. When your pain is acknowledged, it no longer needs to be numbed. It can finally move through you and dissolve. The third condition is permission. You must give yourself permission to feel without knowing what will come. Permission to cry without a reason. Permission to rage without a target. Permission to grieve without closure. Permission to feel joy even if it does not last. Most women fear feeling because they believe it will overwhelm them. They believe that if they let the floodgates open, they will drown. But Jung discovered the opposite. When you give yourself permission to feel, emotions move. They rise, crest, and recede like waves. They do not stay forever. They pass through. It is the unfelt emotions that stay, the ones you numb, suppress, deny. Those are the ones that calcify inside you, creating heaviness, fatigue, chronic numbness. So permission is the key that unlocks the dam. It says to your soul, you are allowed to feel, and I will not abandon you when you do. When these three conditions are met, something miraculous happens. One morning, you wake and feel a faint stir of something in your chest. Not happiness, not sadness, just aliveness. A tiny flicker of presence where absence used to live. You hear a song and feel a faint pull. You see beauty and feel a whisper of awe. You think of someone you love and feel a soft warmth instead of hollowness. These are not grand emotions. They are subtle, fragile even. But they are real, and they are proof that your soul is returning, that the winter is ending, that the numbness was not permanent after all. The woman who emerges from emotional numbness is not the same woman who entered it. She is quieter but stronger, softer but less willing to bend, more open but far more selective about who she opens to. She has learned that not every space deserves her energy. Not every person deserves her depth. Not every request deserves her yes. She has learned that rest is not laziness, that boundaries are not cruelty, that protecting her peace is not selfishness. Jung believed that women who walk through the underworld of numbness and return carry a specific kind of power. He called it dark feminine energy. Not dark as in evil. Dark as in unseen, deep, rooted in the unconscious, connected to the hidden rhythms of the soul. This woman does not perform wellness. She lives it quietly. She does not announce her healing. She embodies it in her choices. She does not explain herself to people who have not earned her trust. She does not justify her boundaries. She does not apologize for taking up space. She has touched the void and survived, and survival taught her that she contains more strength than the world ever gave her credit for. Her relationships shift. Some people fall away because they were only connected to the version of her that gave endlessly. Others draw closer because they recognize the depth she now inhabits. She no longer fears being alone because she has learned that solitude is not loneliness. It is sanctuary. It is the space where her soul breathes. She no longer fears feeling too much because she has learned that her sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a compass. It guides her toward what is true and away from what is hollow. She no longer fears her anger because she has learned that it is not destruction. It is discernment. It tells her when something is wrong before her mind rationalizes it away. She trusts herself now in ways she never did before, because she has seen herself in the dark and did not abandon herself. She stayed. She witnessed. She waited. And in that waiting, she discovered that she was never broken. She was simply in transition. Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And the woman who walks through numbness and returns knows exactly who that is. She is the one who feels deeply but no longer gives her feelings away. She is the one who loves fully but no longer loses herself in love. She is the one who serves from overflow, not depletion. She is the woman her soul has been building in silence. The woman the world never asked her to be, but the woman she was always meant to become. So how do you move through numbness without forcing it? Without shaming it, without rushing it? Jung offered a practice he called active imagination, a way of dialoguing with the parts of yourself that have gone silent. Sit in a quiet space. Close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and speak to the part of you that went numb, not out loud, internally, in the language of the soul. Say, I see you. I know you are protecting me. I know you shut down because it was not safe to feel. I honor that. Then ask, what do you need from me to feel safe again? Do not expect an immediate answer. The soul does not speak in words. It speaks in images, sensations, memories, subtle knowing. You might see an image of a door. You might feel warmth in your chest. You might remember a moment from your past. You might simply sense a direction, a yes or a no. Trust whatever arises. This is your soul communicating in its native language. Jung believed that this dialogue is the foundation of healing. When you stop treating numbness as an enemy and start treating it as a messenger, everything shifts. You stop trying to fix yourself. You start listening to yourself. You stop forcing feeling. You start creating the conditions where feeling can safely return. You stop performing recovery. You start living it slowly, imperfectly, honestly. There will be days when numbness returns. Days when you slip back into flatness, into distance, into void. This is not failure. This is the rhythm of healing. The psyche does not move in straight lines. It spirals. It advances and retreats. It opens and closes. Each time numbness returns, meet it with the same gentleness. Ask the same question. What are you protecting me from this time? And listen. Over time, the numbness will visit less often. The windows of feeling will grow longer. The colors will return more vividly. The music will sound clearer. And one day you will realize that you are fully alive again. Not the way you were before, but in a way that is deeper, truer, more rooted in your own knowing. My love, if you're in the numbness right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are not less than. Your soul shut down because it was the wisest thing it could do. It protected you from collapsing under the weight of what you were carrying. And now it is asking you to create a life where shutdown is no longer necessary. A life where feeling is safe, where your sensitivity is honored, where your boundaries are respected, where your depth is met, not feared. This is not a quick journey. This is not a linear path. This is a descent and a return, a death and a rebirth, a winter and a spring. But you are not walking it alone. Every woman who has touched the void and returned walks beside you in spirit. Every soul that has numbed and reawakened knows your name. And Jung from beyond the veil reminds you of this truth. The psyche always moves toward wholeness. Even when it appears to be dying, it is reorganizing. Even when feeling disappears, the soul is preparing for a deeper capacity to feel. Trust the emptiness. Honor the pause. Create the safety. Witness the pain. Give yourself permission. And wait. Because feeling will return. Not because you forced it, but because your soul is ready to live again. Not in the old way, in the true way. The way that was always waiting beneath the numbness. The way your heart knew before the world taught you to. Forget. You are not ending, you are beginning. Welcome home to yourself. If any of this touched you, share which threshold you recognized in your own journey. Your words might be the light someone else needs in their darkness. And if you want to continue this journey into the depths of the soul, subscribe. We walk the underworld together here. Until next time, honor your numbness. It is not your enemy. It is your guardian. And it is guiding you back to the woman you were always meant to become.